When you have a show about gratitude, you've got to be grateful for your sponsors. And in our life of gratitude, we all have guides. Somebody that guided us through our lives, that made us appreciate those things that we have. And that's why I'm so delighted and so grateful for our sponsor, Life Guides. Life Guides is a peer-to-peer community that helps people navigate through their day-to-day stressors by providing a place of empathy, listening, wisdom, and support with a guide who has walked in your shoes, experiencing the same challenge or life experience as you. A true life guide. And because you're listening to our gratitude podcast, if you go to their website, lifeguides.com/schedule a demo and add the code HEALTHY2021. The code is HEALTHY2021 in the free text box. You'll get 2 months of their services for free. 2 months for free. So sign up, show your team you care, get a life guide. Be grateful for those guides in your life, as I am grateful for our sponsor, Life Guides.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Leading with Gratitude. We've got a little problem happening with Chester's mic here. We're going to get that worked out. Looks like you got it, Chester.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brent. I'm the Apostle of Appreciation, Chester Elton, your host, coming to you live and in color from beautiful downtown Summit, New Jersey. I think is the appreciation epicenter of the universe. We say, give us 30 minutes. We'll give you 30 minutes of great information, great inspiration, and a roadmap of gratitude. At work and in your personal life. We're coming to you live streaming on LinkedIn and Facebook and all those great places. And our sponsor is a wonderful sponsor. It's methodsof.com. If you're going to invest in yourself and in your leadership, there's no better place to go than methodsof.com. Great leadership courses there from Marshall Goldsmith, Sally Helgeson. I've got a great course there on teamwork. And of course, Martin Lindstrom, one of the great marketers of all time. And because you're listening to our live show, if you sign up for the annual membership, when you go to checkout, just put in Gratitude 2021 and you get a 50% discount. It's just a great offer. Well, listen, thank you so much for giving us 30 minutes of your time today. We love our gratitude audience. We love that you give us a little bit of your time. You're making us the #1 show on gratitude on all of LinkedIn. Well, listen, I'm really excited to introduce you our guest today. He's a fascinating gentleman. Let me give you a little bit of his background and read you a little bit of his bio. His name is Dr. John Demartini. Now, Dr. Demartini is a world-renowned specialist in human behavior, a researcher, author, and global educator. He has authored 40 books that have been translated into 39 different languages and has shared the stage with some of the world's most influential people, including Sir Richard Branson, Deepak Chopra, and many others. He's developed a series of solutions applicable across all markets, sectors, and age groups, which he has presented on Larry King Live, CNN, CNNBC, and as a contributor to the Oprah magazine and hundreds of other magazines. As the founder of the Demartini Institute, Dr. Demartini has worked with entrepreneurs and board members and CEOs in companies like IBM, Shell Oil, Merrill Lynch, and many, many others. He studied in over 299 academic disciplines throughout the past 48 years. He is remarkable in his research and his knowledge. You can find his work on drdemartini.com. You can follow him on Facebook and Instagram. Welcome to our humble live show on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Demartini.
Chester, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
I just love your intro. I love that you've been on all these great shows and now Leading with Gratitude live on LinkedIn. I think that's the cherry on top for you. So that's wonderful. Hey, we have quite the international audience. We've got Andy tuning in from Toronto. We've got Uwe from Switzerland, and they're all interested in your work around gratitude. Now, you've taken the gratitude journal concept to a whole new level. Now, if I've got this right, you've been keeping a gratitude journal every day for 37 years now. Now, 37 years ago, gratitude journals were not a thing. So why did you decide to keep a gratitude journal, and why has it been so important for you that you've done it every day for 37 years?
Well, it's actually longer, but I was born on Thanksgiving Day,
Wow.
and
How
I
great is that?
was told, yeah, I was born on Thanksgiving. I had my birthday on Thanksgiving just a few days ago, 2 weeks ago. My mother was putting me to sleep when I was around 4, and she said, "Son, make sure you count your blessings because those that are grateful for what they have, they receive more to be grateful for." And I started with that concept in my consciousness, I think at a young age. Then I realized that if I was grateful for what I was experiencing in life, it tended to set my mindset on a daily basis in a more poised and present and purposeful capacity. And yes, I document every single day what I'm grateful for. Every day, I don't miss a day. And I have 30 volumes, 10-point print, 1-inch margins, 30 volumes. Some of them are 900 pages each. So I have tens of thousands of pages of gratitudes that I've accumulated over the years. And when people read them, they get tears in their eyes of gratitude just reading it. So I keep a record of what I'm grateful for because it helps me be more inspired in life.
That is beyond remarkable. And talk about being born into gratitude, being born on Thanksgiving Day. So tell me, doctor, I've kept a gratitude journal for some time now. I tend to just make like a list of 8 to 10 things I'm grateful for this. If you've got 10-point type and 900 pages, you're doing more than just listing, a person that you're grateful for or a sunny day. You're going into a fair amount of detail. Have I got that right?
Well, I have so many students around the world that send me thank you letters and send me what they've accomplished. And sometimes my gratitude journal is filled with my students' accomplishments, which inspire and I'm grateful for. And sometimes, like I've already had, Chester, I've already got yours in there, my interview with you. So I keep it with whatever happens that I'm grateful for on a daily basis on that journal.
That's remarkable. Now, talk to me about your students. You say that gratitude is a science, a behavioral science, and so you teach in a lot of different places. Talk to me about your lessons in gratitude, and what you're teaching your students, and where you teach.
Well, I teach all over the world. I've spoken in 158 countries. So I'm blessed to speak in every imaginable place from universities to open conferences and summits and one-on-one on Zoom now and one in groups. So I'm all over the world, but I believe that gratitude is the key that opens up the gateway of the heart. And inside the heart is love. And love window washes the mind and brings inspiration, enthusiasm to the body and allows us to achieve more and be more fulfilled.
You do mention that this state of gratitude and having that as a big part of your life, that it does increase productivity, success, and happiness. Now, you just talked about unlocking love and unlocking happiness. I get that. Talk to me about a productivity standpoint. We're on LinkedIn, and these are business people. They're always looking to be more productive and yet bring joy to their work. So talk to me about how gratitude can make you more productive in your work.
If we puff ourselves up with exaggerating ourselves and talk down to people, or minimize ourselves and talk up to people and not be our authentic self, we don't have sustainable fair exchange, which allows us to maximize our gratitude. And when we're getting pure gratitude of doing work and they're grateful for our services, we maximize our productivity and profitability.
Fascinating. We've often said, look, that the human brain isn't wired to keep you happy. It's wired to keep you safe, right? That's why we always look for the negative things around that. As a behavioral scientist, talk to our listeners and those that are viewing. How do you then rewire your brain? What's the process that you go through so that you can look at things more optimistically with more gratitude? Do you have some rituals and some tips that you can share with us?
If we don't fill our day with high priority actions that inspire us, our day is designed to fill up with low priority distractions that don't. When we're living by the highest priority, our blood glucose and oxygen goes into the forebrain, our executive center, our medial prefrontal cortex, which is also our gratitude center. And when we live by priority, we have more gratitude. And so when we're not living by priority and we're letting the world around us run us, we end up having ingratitude as a feedback to guide us back to our most authentic and productive self. So we're designed to be grateful. We are designed to be grateful when we're living authentically and we're making a contribution that's sustainable, that's a fair exchange with other human beings. It's the most meaningful, fulfilling thing we can do, make a contribution in a state where we're grateful for our opportunities and grateful for the people we serve.
So walk me through then a morning ritual, for example. How do you get people that are not accustomed to living this way? Do you say, "Hey, I want you to make a list of your top priorities and what is most meaningful to you"? Do you have some advice on that? How would you get people started? Like when you're teaching your students and you're doing your one-on-ones, how do you get people to start down this road of gratitude?
A great question to ask yourself on a daily basis. What is the highest priority action I can do today, right now, that will serve the greatest number of people with the resources I have in the most efficient and effective manner? And if you will stop and reflect and do that every moment during the day, and when that's completed, go on to the next one and ask the question again, you will maximize your potential and service and have more gratitude. Plenty to be grateful for on a daily basis if you fill your day with priorities.
That's wonderful. I failed to introduce our question command center guru, Janice Perkins in Wichita, Kansas. Janice is the one that curates all your questions. If you got questions for the good doctor, put them in the chat box and JP will bring them up for you. And we've already got a question in the chat box, if I'm not mistaken, JP. Why don't you ask the good doctor? Oh, yeah, I can't hear you, JP. We've got you on, we're having microphone problems today. Give it another try. Sure. Well, let me, as we work out that little microphone issue, there's a question here where we got it from Yannick. Yannick is from Paris. And he says, what's the difference between gratitude and trust? And is there a relationship between gratitude and trust? What would you say to Yannick?
Well, every human being has a set of priorities, a set of values they live their life by, and their identity revolves around what they value most. And anytime you expect somebody to live outside their own highest values, they're probably going to let you down. It's because you're not honoring them and respecting them for who they are and communicating what you value in terms of those highest values in them. When you do, they will be able to be fulfilled and they'll be trustworthy. But if you expect them to live in your values or outside their own highest values, you'll probably feel let down because they are making decisions based on what they believe will give them the greatest fulfillment in life. And that's their highest values.
Great advice. Well, JP, we got a couple more questions coming in. So apparently our mics are good. So let's go back to Wichita, Kansas for the next question. Go ahead, JP.
Hey, it's actually not a question. It's a great comment in the chat. There's a couple. Dr. Ryad says that he would take a job with a lower salary if gratitude was the culture, which I find fascinating. And Tarina is a city councilor and says every time big decisions need to be made, she's grateful for so many people. So you've got all kinds of chat going on in the comments. So we'll keep looking for questions.
Yeah, Tarina from Saskatchewan. Doctor, I don't know. You sail around the world. There's no port in Saskatchewan. It's a prairie province in Canada. And we used to make a joke in Saskatchewan that Saskatchewan is so flat that you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. It's that flat. Hey, there are a lot of people, particularly when it comes to gratitude journals, and they say, look, that's just a gimmick. That's just one of those things that people say that doesn't really have an impact. What do you say to the naysayers about gratitude journals? I mean, you've got, like you say, 40 years worth of experience. How do you debunk those people that say it's a gimmick?
Well, they probably aren't living their life to their highest value. They're probably not having an accumulation of things they're grateful for on a daily basis so they can relate to it. And maybe they haven't learned to master their life. They become victims of history, not masters of destiny, possibly. But I'm a firm believer that it's certainly been grateful in my life. The more I'm grateful for, the more I get opportunities. My life is filled with so many opportunities to be grateful for. It's astounding. So it doesn't matter what their opinion is. I live my life by it, and I found it's what matters is you know if you have a grateful heart, you're going to have more fulfillment in life than if you're ungrateful. Life is kind of hellacious if all of a sudden you're not grateful for your life. So I'm a firm believer in documenting what you can be grateful for. One of the greatest questions you can ask yourself on a daily basis is how specifically is whatever's happening helping me fulfill my mission, what I feel is my calling in life, and helping me fulfill what's most deeply meaningful. If I ask that question and answer that over and over again, I have tons of things to be grateful for. It has nothing to do with
You
what's
know,
out there. It has everything to do with my perception.
you make a statement, and I'm a big believer of this, and you've articulated, I think it really well, is that gratitude attracts gratitude, doesn't it? I mean, when you have that grateful heart, you attract people that have a grateful heart. When you have that outlook on life, like you said, opportunities present themselves. It is interesting, isn't it, that people like to be around grateful people, and you're a living testament of that, aren't you?
I am. I'm a firm believer that if you have an unrealistic expectation on others to be one sided, or an unrealistic expectation on them to be living in your values, not their own, or an unrealistic expectation on yourself to be one sided, or to live in other people's values other than your own, you're going to be ungrateful because you're expecting something that's not real. And many people have unrealistic expectations and therefore feel ingratitude. But if you set realistic expectations that are deeply meaningful, that are prioritized, that are thought through, and use your executive center with foresight, you will set your life up for a very grateful life. And there's no reason not to. It doesn't make any sense not to have gratitude in life.
Well said. So, where can people find out more about your work and your studies and your teaching? Where would you send them?
Well, to find out about myself, it's simply drdemartini.com. And there is a value determination process on there that's free, it's private, that they can go and take the time to go through. And it will increase the probability of having a grateful life. If you set goals that are aligned with what you value most, you have the highest probability of achievement and more things to be grateful for.
Excellent. Take him up on it. Nothing better than free, right? My mom used to say, if it's free, it's me. So to check out the website. Hey, let's go back to JP. She's got some great questions around, how gratitude can help you through hard times and so on. JP, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Hi, I have another question from Andy. I'm going to put first. He asks, how do you prioritize your activities to your highest value?
The first thing I do is I do the value determination process and look at how I fill my space, how I spend my time, what energizes me, what it is that I spend my money on most, where am I most organized, where am I most disciplined, what is it that I think about, visualize, and affirm to myself about how I want my life that shows evidence coming true, what I'm talk to other people about most and bring conversations to, what is it I'm inspired by, what is it that my goals that are persistent that I don't give up on that I achieve, and what is it I spontaneously want to learn about. I start there, and then once I find out what's really most important, I target my objectives and goals on a daily basis according to what I value most, and therefore I walk my talk. I don't have to limp my life that way, and more gratitude.
Excellent. Excellent. There's a great question here about how has gratitude helped you through a crisis in your life? Great question, particularly as you're coming through this pandemic and so on. What would your answer to that be?
Well, a crisis is an interpretation of your reality based on a perception that you think there's more drawbacks than benefits, and that's not real. It's only real because you've chosen not to see the upsides and the benefits. So it's not what happens to us, it's our perception, the decisions and actions around it. So I ask, how specifically is whatever I've experienced, how am I going to use it to the greatest capacity to fulfill my mission? How is it going to help me fulfill my mission? How is it helping me move forward in life? Not how is it not, how is it? And if you find it, it will turn into opportunity and you'll be more to be grateful for again. It's nothing to do with the world out there. It's your perception of the world out there.
You keep coming back to that, and it is really interesting that it is what you interpret it in being, right? Like if you interpret it as a crisis, it's a
Yes,
crisis. If you interpret it as an opportunity to grow and develop, it's an opportunity to grow and develop, isn't it? You've talked about
exactly.
gratitude. Yeah, as gratitude is the greatest form of healing. So you believe that, and I have had some experiences with this as well, that gratitude can really heal people's souls. Have you got some stories and some advice on that? When people really are wounded, how do you use gratitude to heal those broken hearts?
Well, I had a gentleman who was in Northern California that I consulted with that had throat cancer. And I asked him, what is it that he's afraid to say? And what is he holding back that he's not speaking up about? And he felt that he had a lot of resentment to his mom, his ex-wife, and a whole bunch of females in his life. And it was on his left side. And I sat down and I have him re-ask a set of questions to help him appreciate all those women in his life. And he basically sat down and wrote down how it served him, all of their actions that he'd resented. And we didn't stop for about 4 hours until he actually had tears of gratitude for what they had done. And spontaneous healing occurred. They couldn't explain it. The doctor couldn't explain it, but it just dissolved away. In the next 3 weeks, when they were supposed to remove the tumor, they came back and said the tumor is dissolving away. And he contributes it. He believes that the gratitude was the thing that transformed his self physiology. And I've got a lot of cases of people that are grateful for what they have, and they have transformations in their physiology. We really don't know the limits of our physiology, but we know that gratitude and love are still the greatest healers.
I find that so fascinating. When we hold on to that negativity, it makes us sick, doesn't it? It really does. It makes us sick.
Our body is offering us physiological symptoms to try to guide us to authenticity. And whenever we're puffing ourselves, looking down on people and resenting them, or minimizing ourselves and looking up at people and aggrandizing them, we're not being our authentic self. And we create symptomatology. Looking down, they may challenge us. It activates the sympathetic. And we're looking up, it may support us. It activates the parasympathetic. And both of those create epigenetic alterations and self-physiological changes that create symptoms to try to guide us back to authentic so we can love and appreciate people for who they are and ourselves for who we are, not put people on pedestals or pits.
Excellent. Hey, JP, there's a great question here about gratitude in the workplace. Let me throw it to you to ask this one. I think it's fascinating.
So the question is, how do you deal with toxic people in the workplace? So can gratitude and boundaries coexist?
Well, I don't like to label people anything. I find that labeling people toxic means that you haven't seen how what they've done serves you, and you're choosing to hold on to a fantasy that they're supposed to support and be only one-sided. A human being has a set of values. If I learn how to communicate in their values, I find that people who have been labeled toxic turn out to be credible people. So I don't like to label people. I find that that's not really who they are. I'd rather go find out what's important to them, find out how to communicate effectively in a way where they're getting their values met, and then unfold their greatness and not put them in a label. And then find out how what they've done has served me. If I find out how it served me, I'm grateful. And then if I communicate effectively in their values, they're grateful, and we change the dynamic. Don't put people on labels. Don't put a finite box on some human being. I assure you, somebody else has a different label on them anyway. Just go and learn how to communicate effectively and appreciate that even challenge serves you. When you're addicted to one side, the other side smacks you pretty hard. If you appreciate both sides of life, you'll be more grateful.
This conversation to me, Doctor, is so interesting because you really are trying to break down a lot of barriers and social norms that we put up on people. We did a really interesting exercise not too long ago when you say about be careful how you put labels on people or you put boxes around people. Interesting because you and I are in boxes right now as we do the show, but it's knowing people's stories, isn't it? Is that a way to break down these labels of you're toxic or you're negative or so on? Is it helpful to just sit down and hear people's stories, where they've come from, how they got here, where they want to go? Is that part of a gratitude practice as well?
Well, if you put them into a different context, you'll change your perspective on them. What I did is I went to the Oxford Dictionary, the largest dictionary I could find, and I went through and circled every positive and negative behavioral trait I could find in the dictionary. I found 4,628 traits. And then I looked at who is it that I know that demonstrates that trait. And then I looked at where do I demonstrate that trait. And then I found out that I had every one of the traits that I ever saw in anybody else that I admired or despised. And I realized that I had them all. There was nothing missing in me. And I realized that who am I to judge them? Whenever I'm resenting somebody, they're reminding me of something that I'm too proud to admit that I have, but I have. And the same if I admire somebody, I'm too humble to admit what I see in them inside me, but I have. When I finally realize that I have all those things, I reflect and I'm less reactive and less likely to put a label on them, and definitely more grateful because I realize they're bringing out of me what I've been denying in myself.
So isn't that interesting that we can see ourselves in others if we just take the time, right, to figure it out? That we have more in common than more that brings us together than separates us, as is often said. Hey, you're an entrepreneur, and you said that gratitude has really helped you find success. How can gratitude help other entrepreneurs find success? How did that help you?
Well, if you're not doing what's deeply meaningful to you on a daily basis and being of service, I always say when you can't wait to get up in the morning and be of service to people, people can't wait to get your service. When you're grateful for the opportunity to be of service, people are grateful to receive it. And I don't know, I've not met a very high, powerful entrepreneur that wasn't grateful for the opportunity to be of service to people. They just don't sustain. They don't have the endurance. They don't have the patience and the purpose unless it's really congruent with what they value. And when it is, they're grateful. The gratitude and executive center are the same center in the brain.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor one more time. We're wrapping up here. This has been more than engaging. Thank you so much for your time. But if you want to invest in your leadership development, Methods Off, our wonderful sponsor, no better place to go there. Sally Helgeson, and of course, on how to help women rise. Hortense Le Gentile about alignment. And Marshall Goldsmith, the #1 executive coach in all the world. Well, if you sign up for the annual membership, when you go to checkout, all you got to do in the checkout box is put in gratitude 2021 and you'll get a 50% discount. It's a great offer. Well, listen, if there's one thing that you wanted people to take away from our conversation today, Doctor, just that one big takeaway, what would you want people to remember from our conversation on Leading with Gratitude Live today?
The magnificence of who you are, the authentic you, is more profound and more powerful than trying to live in anybody else's box. So give yourself permission to shine, not shrink. Give yourself permission to be authentic, not living under the guise of somebody else. And go and do the highest priority actions that serve the ever greater numbers of people, and watch how gratitude will grow in your life. And I'm certain that gratitude is the key that opens up the heart and allows you to appreciate your life. At the end of your life, you're going to be asked a simple question. Did you do everything you could with everything you were given? You want to be able to say, I absolutely did. And I'm grateful for my life.
Excellent. And we ask every guest, what are you grateful for today? Doctor, what are you grateful for?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm grateful for being on the show with you, Chester, on gratitude, because I think it's the most important thing to be reminding people of doing on a daily basis. Why wait till Thanksgiving Day once a year when you can make every day a Thanksgiving Day?
There you go. Well, listen, our guest has been Dr. John Demartini, founder of the Demartini Institute. Follow him on Instagram and Facebook. Go to his website. Just wonderful insights. He's got the science behind it. We're grateful that you gave us 30 minutes of your time. Ours is all based on our book, Leading with Gratitude, available at fine bookstores everywhere. And we've got a wonderful commercial from our publisher. We love our publisher, right? That Alan Mullally, who saved the Ford Motor Company, said, I love this book. And then a not so subtle shout out to Buy Me Buy me. Well, listen, we've got a tradition here, Dr. Demartini. We bring in the whole team. There's JP in Wichita, Kansas. There's Brent in Austin, Texas. We've got Christy Lawrence in actually she's in Southern New Jersey today, and you on your wonderful boat there in Mexico. Thank you everybody for tuning in, for giving us your time. Turn up the music, Brent. We're gonna dance it out. So, Dr. Demartini, give us your best, Zoom box moves here. Be grateful, be observant, have some fun. Stick around, doctor. We want to talk to you on the back end. But hey, be grateful, be happy, be of service. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. We're grateful you were here today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.